guys, welcome back to Prepping in Progress. I'm Steve, and today we're going to continue our talk about some of the more forgotten preps. This is more about data, so stay with me. Organization. We've talked about various little preps that we might or might not have on us. We've gone through my bags and found them wanting. One of the things we talked about was the fact that I probably needed to field strip these MREs, take them down to basic components and get rid of the extra stuff. And that is all well and good. And that is a very good project for what we're doing. We have some of our Augustin Farms stew being used as a base on the stove, and it's trying to bubble over. So yeah. But one of the things that, let's say, it's not the complete and total breakdown of society. You just have to leave home for a while. And you need to get somewhere. Do you have all your documents? Now, me, I'm a licensed concealed carrier. I have a passport, but I also have the passport card. I carry that in my wallet on a daily basis. But what happens if we had to walk out right now, my wallet's in there, and we got to go out the door? Probably going to try to run in there anyway and get it because my keys are there. But what if the house is on fire? What if I can't get to all that? Well, I'm not saying you're going to have this with you all the time, but here we have just a little USB. You can scan your documents. You can scan your driver's license, your concealed carry card, your whatever else you need, and put them together to go. Matter of fact, we got on to me the other day while we were going through my bags because we found Army Survival Manual. We found a couple of other books that were this thick. Well, one was that thick, one was this thick. They all added up. On this stick right here, I have probably 20 or 25 of those same manuals. Now, ask me, do I have a laptop with me? I may not. I may have to wait until I get where I'm going to access those, but they're there. Now, here's someone saying, well, Steve, what about an EMP? What about an EMP? Seriously. What are the odds that we're going to have an EMP? Decent. I'll give it to you. It's decent. China's been working on a new EMP weapon. So, yeah, it is possible. However, the mutually assured destruction theory from the 80s does apply. We do have the ability to look at things and see how things could or might not happen. If an EMP doesn't hit, your computer computer is still going to be viable. If an EMP does hit, your computer may still be viable. Here's the deal. Let's talk EMP for a second. The theory is that an EMP will completely reset everything. Your car will shut down. Everything's not going to work. Except that the EMP Commission did a study where many cars were able to restart. You have issues where even if a car doesn't come completely back online, it will still run. It may be in limp mode, or when the computer went bad in the Hummer a few years back, the lights wouldn't turn off. So what I had to do was disconnect the battery, reconnect the battery, and it would still go. It is not a guarantee that everything is just going to come to a complete and total stop. Also, the research says that if you can bury your gear about 8 feet underground, it should be insulated. There are many people who talk Faraday cages. Faraday cages work great. Way back in the 1800s, Tesla was building them and then sitting next to them as electricity arc, and he was just fine. EMP is a little bit different, but it's still, a Faraday cage will work. So there's that. If you have a room in your basement, maybe an unfinished basement, all concrete, that is actually insulated and down, you can wall off a section, wall in a section of ceiling, and you have a fairly good chance of surviving with your equipment, whether it's a computer or ham radio. You know, a lot of us hams have backup systems in some form of Faraday cage. So, there's that. Now, why am I going down this route? I want you to be open to the idea of putting your documents on a thumb drive. I want you to be open to the idea of setting those things aside and being able to come back and access them. You know, what happens if your thumb drive is functional and you get to, if you have to go to a FEMA station or another first aid station, and they've got a computer reader? How do you establish your identity? Look, guys, we all want to believe that we are super prepper and we won't need anyone's help and we can do what we need to do where we need to do it and get by with nothing from the outside. The simple fact is, there may come a time when that's not an available option. Something such as Hurricane Katrina. You know, it doesn't have to be the end of the world as we know it for all of it to go down. If you stop and think about it, a lot of those people who ended up in the football stadium due to Hurricane Katrina had things at home. They had some of the ability to survive on their own. Many of them had their own John boats in the backyard. They didn't think to hop on the boat and use the boat to get out of New Orleans. Now, and here comes the Cajun Navy and helping pull people out.
Cajun Navy.
Miss Kay is a big fan of the Cajun Navy.
May they help?
They went and helped her out in Texas, I believe.
Yes.
Yes, Yes, they did. So, it doesn't have to be us versus them. It doesn't have to be we're always going to be able to make it on our own. Facts are we may not be able to. Do I want to end up in the Astrodome? No, I don't. So we'll be using common sense. Common sense. Hey, a hurricane's coming. Hey, we have levees. Levees fail. Hey, let's get out of here.
It's not always an option.
It's may not always be an option, but for the people in our community, usually it is. You know, I'm not saying for the everyday citizen.
Not everyone can afford to leave when a hurricane comes in because of finances or strife. A lot of people
And
died
are
in
those
Hurricane Harvey.
preppers? And are those preppers? Are they the people that I'm talking to right now?
No.
You know this has been going on the tape, right?
Yes.
Okay.
My point being is a lot of things happen that people didn't think about.
True.
During Hurricane Harvey, the one that I was stuck in, there was so many people that died because the water rose so much.
Right.
And then they had to open up the dams and it flooded the lower cities and towns, in which one of them that I lived in, Vidor. There was 8 foot of water in our house.
Okay.
We lost everything.
Okay.
There was no way to prepare for that.
Did you have enough warning that you could have gotten out?
We did leave.
Okay.
My mother-in-law and brother-in-law did not, because Vidor had never flooded like that. It had never happened, and people who have lived there for 50 years swore up and down that, yeah, you get a couple feet of water, oh, big deal. You're coastal, you're good, you live below sea level. They didn't think the ocean was going to come in, and then they didn't think that all the dams were going to release at one time. Harvey literally sat over us for a week and dropped inches upon inches of rain.
Right.
People got stuck in Houston on the roads, in between going up and down as the roads go up and down. People were stranded there for days.
And you're saying that you got out.
I got out, yes.
You had pre-warning.
We had enough warning, yes.
You used common sense.
Yes. I also used the Cajun Navy to rescue my mother-in-law.
Thank you for making my point.
I used the Cajun Navy to rescue my mother-in-law and my brother-in-law because they stayed.
Yeah.
And some other people did too, and they didn't make it.
Yeah.
I literally called in a man, found in his car, dead, for weeks after the flood. It flooded so bad that the RV place above us flooded. And the RVs and houses that were around the little lake outside of our town were going down the Neches River. There's not a way to be prepared, even if you're a river rat. There's no way to say that that is ever going to happen because that was an act of God.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, not everything you can be prepared for. You can practice, you can try, and you can change things. But at some point in time, you're not going to be prepared.
Exactly. And that's when you need to get out, use common sense, exit the area, and that's where we're going
And
with
people
this.
are too stubborn to do that.
So as you can tell, Miss Kay is kind of passionate and emotional about what she went through. And she's right. You know, you can't always prepare for the situation. And that is when you need to bug out. You need to leave. Did you overfill the pot?
Maybe just a little.
Maybe just a little.
The sponge is behind you.
One sponge, my dear. So, in the case that you have to bug out due to the hurricanes coming, a tornado, an earthquake, having a backup of your your documents, your kids' documents. I still have photographs of my kids and my ex's social security cards. So, that's something. In fact, my adopted son called a couple years ago needing his social security number, and I could just hand it right off to him. So having your important documents on a thumb drive is a forgotten crap. Most people think, well, either the EMP is going to wipe out all computers and I won't need it, or I won't have it, or it won't be worth having. Guys, it's an insurance policy. Not everything is going to be a coronal mass ejection or a weaponized EMP. You've got flooding. You've got tornadoes. You've got hurricanes. Having your documents on a backup thumb drive that can be easily accessed just makes sense. And like I said, I'm not a big fan of going to shelters. I'm not a big fan of wanting to be in the Astrodome. But having the capability to go through your documents, to establish your bank accounts in a different state, and to access your virtual funds, your ones and zeros out there in cyberspace, is a good thing. I know some people who during Katrina relocated to Nebraska and have never gone back.
A lot of people who actually live in coastal areas live down there because they love to go to the beach. I am one of them. I loved it. The convenience, always being able to go on vacation an hour away. But yet, it's hard to leave when you work about, work week, get a paycheck. When you live week to week, it's hard to leave.
Yeah.
In our church that we had down there, and some of our elderly people that we dealt with the DAV out of that. It's not easy to get people up and out. It's not easy when people are handicapped to get up and out. And they did not, God bless the government, but they did not look at it like that. There was places that flooded. There was places that lost a whole nursing home full of people.
Yeah.
At one mic. Because they were neglected at the fact. People were abandoned because they couldn't get in fast enough.
Yeah.
And then the ones that couldn't make it to the roofs, if the roofs were high enough. People down the roads, they have tendencies down there now where most of your houses have to be built on piers.
Okay.
Insurances won't pay for it. Why? Because there's not enough finance around to go around. In the towns in which we lived in down there, 90% of the houses have black mold.
Yeah. I remember when we were down there, there were so many abandoned places just rotting.
All the time. There are so many houses, they have a housing actual shortage, and then they're going through and knocking houses down because it has black mold in it. It's really hard for people. I helped through my consignment store homeless people all the time, taking clothes and donations to them constantly because of it. People are completely and utterly homeless, living on the streets, underneath bridges, because they could not find housing. Without housing, you can't find a job.
Yeah.
There's promises of all these jobs out there, but nobody wants to hire. Nobody wants to work.
Okay, fair enough.
I went off brace, I know.
No, you're good. You're good. And this actually makes me think of another set of video series that is, or a playlist, I believe, that is on the channel, is the Preppers Helping People series, where Adam Watson, back when the Arkansas Preparedness Network was in full swing. We actually still have a MeWe page instead of Facebook. Yeah, I'll tell you about that in a minute. But Adam put out a call because the people in Stony Point got flooded out. The houses actually had to be demoed. We had black mold inside some of the walls. And we went out and we did it. But when thinking about preppers helping people, you're prepared, right? That's why you're watching this channel, even if you're just starting to set aside a couple of cans. You're thinking about this. I'm not saying that should the grid go down, should we suffer the major food shortage that they're beginning to eyeball for this next year, you should feed everyone around you. But in the case of a natural disaster, why not take your neighbor with you if you have the slots in your car? Why not try to convince them to go with you? Why not step up and help out? I'm sure there were some people who did that during Harvey.
There was. We had people come from up north with semis full of food. When Imelda hit us the year after and flooded us yet again, we have the American Red Cross. Fabulous people volunteering. It's amazing. FEMA, you know me. I don't like FEMA. Sorry, but I don't.
Do any of us?
FEMA did a lot of people wrong. They rush in and they help you and you sign all these papers. And when you're in the middle of not having a place to live and being homeless and you have children, people sign. They don't read everything. Elderly, some still don't even know how to read. There's people down there that lost their houses living in FEMA trailers that FEMA came in and repossessed their homes. All because they trusted the government.
And on that note, the channel has gone completely right-wing.
My bad. I'm just saying, you can't exactly trust everybody that comes out and tries to feed you.
Yeah.
But there is good people everywhere. And in the midst of a disaster like that, I've seen it firsthand.
Yeah. See, she is a survivor. So, probably what we're going to be doing in a week or two is we're going to sit down and let you take the reins and actually talk about what could have been done differently, what the smart moves would be in that type of a situation. So, you better start thinking about this, darling.
I made concessions after everything else. Okay. After the first time where we lost everything, what items I did have when it came hurricane season the next year, everything of mine went in toast and was duct taped. It was not getting ruined.
There you go.
I wasn't losing everything again. Everything that I could put up, I put up in the attic. Because it only went 8 foot, and the walls are 8 foot, so everything went in the attic.
There you go.
We spent days hiking up. I put sandbags 4 foot around the house, plastic wrapped around the house, 8 foot tall, trying to make sure that we were not going to get flooded out again.
There you go. We'll do some more talking about that. I was going to tell you about the Arkansas Preparedness Network. So, we used to have a Facebook page. We were this huge Facebook group and actually did a lot of good. Election Day! Facebook deemed that group subversive. Totally dismantled the group, gave all of the admins, disabled their accounts, disabled the moderators' accounts. Yeah, it was great. And Trump still won.
Hoo-ha, Trump.
Just saying. The leftists did it. The right was still active. Anyway,
I will say,
let's not get political on
for
this.
2 hours waiting for Trump to come through Orangeville, Texas, just so I could wave at him.
Sorry, guys, I wasn't sure what was about to come out of her mouth this time.
Really? That was mean. I'm so hurt.
You know, that's going on the blooper reel, right?
You're a mess. Just saying. Ornery as can be.
So you have met me.
Yeah, I live with you.
Alright. I love you. Alright, guys. Thanks for watching Prepping in Progress. Seriously, consider putting your documents on a thumb drive, putting it away, and, or when I say put it away, put it in your go bag. Maybe make a copy and put it somewhere in or around your vehicle. I'm not saying carry it in your vehicle at all times. And, yeah, we just took 3 MREs, put them all down into one bag. Yeah, it's kind of stuffed full, but we got rid of a lot of junky space, and I really could do more by taking stuff out of the compartments. But at the same point in time, we got rid of extra heater bags, we got rid of extra spoons, we didn't even take them out of the plastic. We just got rid of them. So, that's going to go in the big bag, the inch bag, and all of a sudden we have cleared from this much space down to this much space. And lost some extra weight.
And supper spinach.
And supper spinach. So, we'll talk to you later.